Hey, it's Tito here with the Buckeye Blitz, FanStream Sports powered by DSP Media. You can follow me on Twitter at FitHappens, where you can find me there. Download our app. It's free for Apple and Android users. You can chat with us through the Facebook group. You'll find that. You can chat with some hosts there as well. But make sure you follow me on Twitter, the X, for more information on different things going on with Ohio State sports and fantasy football as well. So let's get into this first. Ohio State, we talked about the spring game already. And one of the biggest areas of concern for Ohio State right now is the defensive line. They got to replace a lot of talent there. And there's some guys they're in on that we're waiting to see. They're transfers that we're waiting to see if Ohio State's going to be able to get. The first one is Bo Atkinson. He's a defensive end from North Carolina who's transferring. He's got a couple of years of eligibility left. Big guy. He's 6'6", 265. He had 7.5 sacks last year. But yeah, he's 6'6". I've heard 270 also. So somewhere in that range. He's probably the gem out of all the defensive line transfers out there right now. He's an end, and so hopefully Ohio State can get him. Last time I did some research on it, looked like he's going between Ohio State and Georgia. Ohio State has a slight edge in that one. Also, Syracuse defensive tackle Murad Watson. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the country as a freshman last year. He's 6'3", 313. And again, Syracuse is he's leaving Syracuse to go to the transfer portal. He's another one that is very much coveted by Ohio State. Also, Tony Pikes. He's from Georgia Southern, defensive end. He's 6'3", 290. He's got 3 years left. Pikes will be visiting Ohio State to see if that's a match for them. But Ohio State, if they get all three, great. If they get two of them, that's great too. But I really like to see Bo Atkinson as like my top choice as someone they could get. Sam Houston, switching over to the offensive side of the ball. Sam Houston State offensive tackle Orion Irving, who's got 2 years left. He's 6'6", 310. Another offensive lineman who's also in the mix for potentially coming to Ohio State as a transfer is Justin Terry from West Virginia. He's 6'5", 320. Now, he's from Pickerington, Ohio, so he's close by. Makes a lot of sense. Ohio State's done a really good job with Pickerington players coming through the system for Ohio State. He was a freshman last year, didn't play, and so he's got 4 years left of eligibility, and he's visiting later on this week as well for visiting Ohio State to see if there's a match there. All right, we got the NFL draft this week, and Ohio State's going to have a banner day at the draft. Not necessarily at the top, but the draft, I've been reading all kinds of different mock drafts and reading the latest news, and on Thursday night when the first round goes off in the NFL draft, Josh Simmons is likely a first-round pick. He might be the only Buckeye to go in the first round, the offensive tackle, who was really playing well until he got hurt in that Oregon game, but looks like a full recovery for him. But Josh Simmons, I think, is the most likely first-round pick from Ohio State to go in the draft. Emeka Egbuka, he's got first-round talent. If a team's in love with him, they'll grab him in the first round, but there's talk he might slip to the early second. I still think if you get him late first, early second, you're getting a steal. Emeka Egbuka is probably the most polished and ready wide receiver in the draft. Other guys may have better, more talent, like as far as faster, taller, whatever, more dynamic catches. If you're looking for more of a sure thing, though, wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka is your guy. So someone might get a steal with him if he lasts till the end of the first round. It feels to me, I don't know if it'll happen or not, but if he's there when the Chiefs pick, this seems like a pick the Chiefs would consider making and bring him in on that. The Chiefs identify wide receiver talent, and I think Egbuka would be fantastic in that Chiefs system. The other one, too, Donovan Jackson. Offensive guard and offensive tackle. He was a guard, switched to tackle this year because of all the injuries, but showed some versatility. He can play almost anywhere there on that offensive line. Teams are going to like that. In the salary cap era, if you can pay a rookie contract to a guy who can play either guard or tackle, that's a very beneficial thing. The injuries on Ohio State's offensive line sucked last year. The Simmons injury was awful. But one of the bright spots is for someone like Donovan Jackson is the ability he had to then show his versatility and move around. So I think Jackson's probably late first, early second. TreVeyon Henderson, the running back for Ohio State, someone getting a lot of play lately. I talked to Albert Breer recently, and he said he is shooting up draft boards, and he might very well be the second running back taken. Amari Hampton, the running back for North Carolina, has been widely considered to be the number 2 running back in this class. But and Hampton's a dynamic talent from North Carolina. He really is. But Henderson, people are falling in love with his tape, with his game speed, with the punishing way he runs, and a lot of people compare it like a Jahmyr Gibbs kind of thing, where Henderson, who could also catch passes out of the backfield, but Henderson could go in the first round. He could sneak in there if someone falls in love with him enough. And we know the Bears, the Raiders, and Broncos are all looking at running backs. Jacksonville may be in the mix for running back too. But if say Janty and then Hampton go off fairly early, you might see a team try to trade up to grab Travion Henderson. Quite frankly, I think Henderson's the second best back in this draft. I think he's ahead of Hampton in my opinion. But so he is somebody who I think will probably go in the second round, the latest. His backfield running mate last year, Quinshon Judkins, he'll also likely go later in the second. Another one, look, both these guys are benefiting. They were great for each other last year because at Ole Miss, where Judkins came from, he was a workhorse back there. They gave him a lot of carries in his a lot of touches his first couple of years there. He comes to Ohio State, and he and Henderson get to spell each other. Henderson was helped by having Judkins here, and Judkins certainly was helped by not putting the wear and tear on his body that he could have if he hadn't transferred to Ohio State. But both of them are very highly regarded by NFL draft people, and so I think both guys will go in the second round. Hampton, who's 6 feet, 221 pounds, he ran a 4.46 in the 40, and they talk about he could be the best one in this class, but I still think it'll be Janty first. And then some of the things I saw was that one NFL, I saw this article in Athletic, and an anonymous running back coach said that Henderson was the second best guy. He's physical, he's violent, he's so twitchy and so elusive. He can catch. He also catch. So that was in an article on The Athletic also. They said about Quinshon Judkins. He's not as dynamic as Henderson, but he's a hard runner. He'll hunt guys down and run through their faces. So I like that about him. Other ones, they both got a whole lot of love from scouts and from running back coaches throughout the NFL. So most mock drafts have Ty Williams going in the second round as well. He's the defensive tackle. And then when you get to the defensive ends, you get Jack Sawyer. Also, he's another one that I think is, and also JTT. Those are a couple guys that will be probably the next Buckeyes taken after those ones I just mentioned. Safety Lathon Ransom, another one. Look, I'm so impressed with Ransom. If Ransom goes, Ransom I'm sure killed the interview process. And he, by the way, he's a future media star if he wants to be. But he's because of how he comes off, how professional he is when you talk to him, it breaks ties. If somebody say we need a safety, it's either this guy or Ransom, and they're very close, and they can't put the two, like they can't separate the two. Ransom's going to win the ties on that one because he's also going to he can be a special teams beast his first year, but I think he'll be a really good NFL player as well. And a team will get a steal if they get him like in the 5th or 6th round. Would be great, not necessarily for Ransom's pocketbook, but great for the team, whoever drafts him. As far as Will Howard goes, I didn't skip over him accidentally, but every time I think of Will Howard, I think about the 1983 draft where you had 6 quarterbacks famously go in the first round. You had Elway go to the Colts, who gets traded eventually, but like Todd Blackledge went. Who else? Ken O'Brien went in that one. Tony Eason went in that one. I'm forgetting one person, but Jim Kelly went. That's the other one. And then the 6th one was Marino. He went last of those. He went to the Miami Dolphins at the end of the first round. And I'm not comparing Will Howard to Dan Marino. Don't get me wrong on that one. But I am saying that Dan Marino went to the best possible situation he could have gone to when he went to Miami. Now, Elway from the Colts and traded to the Broncos. They struggled a little bit early on, but Elway was good enough to find his footing. The other guys didn't necessarily always go to great situations. Eason going to the Patriots, he got beat up. He was out of foot. I know he ended up playing in a Super Bowl, but the one they lost the Bears 46-10. But by and large, he got beat up and did not have great personnel around him, and it wasn't the right fit for him. Blackledge in Kansas City. Kelly went to the Bills a couple years later out of Houston. O'Brien was an okay pro for the Jets. But Marino, though, he goes to a team that was already damn good. The Dolphins were already one of the best teams in the NFL when Marino got there. He goes there, so he has great talent around him, a good offensive line, great weapons at wide receiver, and a Hall of Fame coach in Don Shula. That was, if Marino gone to one of those situations, you might not have seen that happen. Same thing with Mahomes. Mahomes going to 10 when he did to the Chiefs was a blessing because you put him in one of these other franchises that drafted quarterbacks. I think Mahomes went 10th. But anyway, other quarterbacks in the draft. And we wouldn't be talking about the same Pat Mahomes. The best thing for him is being with Andy Reid. So when I think about Will Howard, I'm not saying he's on those guys' levels. Don't get me wrong. But the situation is very important. And there's a few teams that stand out to me that could have interest in Will Howard, that I hope Will Howard would go to. One is the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. It's a stable organization. Good weapons there, too, with Metcalf, and if you can get George Pickens get going. he doesn't have to go in there and be the savior of the franchise right now. Now, they could end up with Rodgers, still could end up with Kirk Cousins. Not sure what's going to happen there, but that would be a good situation for Will Howard. I think he would fit that well. He's got kind of a Roethlisberger mobility type thing with him, too. He's a big guy with a strong arm. So, also the LA Rams. If he goes to the Rams and he gets to learn under Stafford and Sean McVay, they've also got really good weapons out there. They still have Puka Nacua. They've got Devonta Adams now as well. If you could get him out there and let him learn under McVay, who's a very offensive smart guy. Sorry for me. The 49ers, another good one. Go to the 49ers. Look, I know Brock Purdy is trying to get a new contract, and the 49ers and he are going back and forth with numbers and what he could do. So it might be an opportunity for him to start there, not in the first year, but fairly early in his career, and go there, and they also have a coaching staff there that is very, very smart as far as when it comes to offense goes, and they're great at a system, great at putting the quarterback like Brock Purdy in a position to where he will excel. Another would be the Raiders. The Raiders got Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, and obviously, Geno Smith there, but Geno Smith's not the long-term answer at quarterback. New head coach there in Sean Payton. Will Howard to that, and you have Tom Brady heading up some of that scouting, some of the organizational stuff they're going to do. I think that'd be a good move as well. Another team just throwing out there, the Jets. Justin Fields is there, but they gave him a 2-year deal for $20 million, but it doesn't mean, or 2-year deal for $40 million. It doesn't mean he's the long-term answer there at quarterback. So Will Howard could also go there. Cornerback, Denzel Burke, Seth McLaughlin, Ty Hamilton. Those are other guys that will get drafted. Defensive tackle, linebacker Cody Simon, and Jordan Hancock, cornerback, will most likely be day 3 picks in the draft. So lots of Buckeyes could get drafted. None are going to attend. And that was interesting. Josh Simmons was going to attend, and now he's not going to. So we know Buckeyes in Green Bay for the draft when that goes off. A lot of players. It used to be a much bigger deal going to this, but now a lot of players are not going. Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be there, and he's expected to be a first-round pick. So one more thing on the rule change in college football. The rule that screwed Ohio State last year against Oregon, when Oregon deliberately put 12 men on the field, and time ran off on the play. And then Ohio State got the yardage and all that, but nonetheless, it was deliberately done by Oregon to take time off the clock. Well, now they've changed it to where if that happens in a game, if the defense puts 12 on the field, the offense has the option of resetting the clock back to where it was. They still get the yardage, but they can say, you know what, we also want to reset the yardage, go back, or reset the clock to where it was when the play started. So it was going to happen. It's inevitable. It's going to happen because of all the backlash that was thrown out there at Oregon and at Dan Lanning for what they did in that Ohio State game and the way they won. All right, that's it for the Buckeye Blitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, download the free app, Apple and Android users. Follow me on Twitter, @ThitHappens. Buckeye stuff happening all the time, even in the offseason. We'll talk again soon. Take care.